My name is Andy Tidy and welcome back to another episode of Life at 2.3 miles an hour. This episode finds us on the move at last with our boats. As you can see behind me, we have the butty in tow and we're heading out for the season. But before we hit the main lines of the canal, we're on some serious backwaters and I thought you might like to take a bit of a look at them. Now, if there's one sentiment that I constantly see in the comments, it is how sad it is that these old canals are virtually unused and how few boats that you see on the move. Well, I can promise you that by the end of this episode you will see a lot of boats, because for the first time in 18 months there is a boat gathering. It's socially distanced. We won't be having big meetings, but there are scheduled to be about 25 to 30 boats and we're on a campaign cruise to Walsall. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I'm on record for saying that the Walsall Canal is my least favourite canal on the system. It's normally very weedy, very shallow, very muddy and not terribly interesting if the truth be told. But it's a case of use it or lose it, and as it hasn't been used much for many months, a group of us from the Birmingham Canal Society thought it would be a great idea to get some boats together, stir up the mud and move off to Walsall for a night's stay. And this boat gathering seemed to coincide very well with our plans to leave the BCN and go trading for the summer season. So we're joining up with the flotilla for a part of their weekend of mud plugging down the ditches. Oh sorry, I meant the Birmingham Canal Navigations. Well, to give you a bit of a handle on where we are and where we're going, we started off at the Longwood moorings, and that's at the Doe End branch of the Worley and Essington Canal. That was one that was completed in 1802. But we immediately moved onto the Rushall Canal, which was a relative latecomer, being built in 1847. The Doe End is a windy contour canal. The Rushall Canal is a dead straight railway engineered type one, and as I say, one of the last to be built on the BCN. The notable thing about the 2.5 mile Rushall Canal is its flight of 9 locks, which, if you might remember, had the boaters' adage, the Moshies 2 and the Ganseys 7, part of the run across towards Saltley and up to Camp Hill. We completed the Moshies 2 and the Ganseys 7 without any particular problem. The canal was potentially a bit empty, so I left a bit of a paddle running overnight and the pounds were brimming full. Also a bit choked up with duckweed, which was a pain, but nothing to stop us. So we've now reached the 408-foot Walsall level, the lowest of the 3 BCN levels. And we're going to continue on to the end of the Rushall and then turn right onto the lock-free stretch of the Tame Valley. Tame Valley was built in 1844. That was a bypass canal to avoid the congested Farmers Bridge locks. From there we've got about 3.5 miles to travel up to the Walsall Canal at Ocker Hill, and then maybe a half a mile if we turn north and go up the Walsall Canal to where we're going to meet the rest of the boats. Now, we've only been going for about an hour and a half, and I've been down the weed hatch twice, once for weed and once for a bit of rope that was bound up. In fact, I had rope bound up around the propeller within 100 yards of starting. But anyhow, we're doing all right now. My past experiences of the Tame Valley Canal and the Walsall Canal is a bit akin to the acronym for the Lotus Cars. Lots of trouble, usually serious. So it's quite rare to get down here without having some kind of problems underwater. But if I had them, I'll show them to you. Let's hope I don't. CRT, it has to be said, have been doing a lot of work on the BCN. They've been improving the towpaths as a local amenity, and you can see here there's the CRT signage. Back on the locks there were flower boxes made by the local school, and here we find a transition from a muddy towpath onto a well-made towpath. And this is work which will have been done and paid for by Sustrans, so it's part of the national cycle routes. There can be a fair amount of angst about cyclists versus pedestrians and boaters when it comes to the towpaths. But when it comes to the BCN, there are so few boats. Frankly, I'm just pleased to see the towpaths being used at all. So this is Walsall Junction, where the Walsall Canal joins the Tame Valley. It used to be called Newton Junction after the hamlet which is just nearby. That doesn't exist anymore. Unlikely to be any boats, but we'd better check.
That jam sign's still there.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's it. That's the end of cruise day 1. About 30 boats have assembled at the bottom of the old Monway branch, just between the Gospel Oak branch and the Braidley locks, none of which still exist. Now, you may think that this bunch of intrepid boaters is just here for a bit of a jolly, and of course they are. Guaranteed some barbecues out on the towpath tonight. But trailing up the rear was narrowboat Phoenix. This is the Society's workboat behind me. An old workhorse that just plods around the canals week in, week out, picking up the litter. It arrived with a hold absolutely full of tat. That's all been emptied, taken back to the pump house, and the boat is ready for another day's journey, picking up the litter behind the convoy and of course rescuing any strays that got stuck along the way. Well, that's the first day over of our mission to join the Walsall Campaign Cruise 2021. Hope you've enjoyed this episode of Life at 2.3 miles an hour, and I will see you next time around for our journey down the Walsall Canal. Reputedly the dirtiest canal in the country. Time will tell. See you now.